Well, that's a lot to think about these last 2 weeks, hadn't it been? And we're just getting started. Wait till you hear the rest of this now. We've talked about God, what God is, and we talked about what you is or are. And now I'm going to talk a bit about how you can use all these gifts. If you read in Corinthians, the 12th chapter by Paul, now that wasn't written by Jesus, that was written by Paul after he supposedly met Jesus on the road to Damascus, and that was 50 years after Jesus made his resurrection, and that's the important part of all that teaching is the resurrection. We're going to cover that too. We'll get to all that. But Paul, he said, well, in that there are various gifts of the Spirit, meaning that there are various gifts that we express at various times. You've got them all. You just it's like a talent. We all have certain talents that are better than others. Some people are musically inclined, and some are speaking inclined, and some are just different ways and different things, artistic and so forth. But with you, developing and perfecting your talent is an important thing. That means we're psychic, or as I like to call it, psychotic. We have that ability to contact the inner mind with various ways. People talk to me a lot about prayer. They say, well, does prayer really change things? Yeah, well, yes and no. No, it doesn't figuratively change a certain thing. For instance, if you're trying to persuade God to do something for you, oh God, help me, I want you to do this for me, oh buddy. I'm your friend, oh buddy. No, if God could be swayed, God couldn't be God. God is perfection. God makes it the way it is, and He makes a big picture, and He gives you and I the ability to fulfill all the little details of the picture of our life, so that where we orbit, what we do with what we have, is all up to us. Well, Benjamin Franklin said it so very well when he said, God helps those that help themselves. Well, to help yourself doesn't mean to take and take, or to give and give, although both of those are something we all do. And most of us take more than we give, which is a slow way to perfecting that God spirit. It's kind of like people say, well, if there is a God, why is there so much misery in the world? Why is there so much cruelty? Why is there this and why is there that? All the negative things. Let's look at some of the good things. First of all, when you have a building that's kind of rough and worn out and needs to be torn down, you tear it down, then you rebuild a new building. Yeah, there is no death. That's a cinch. When you live, you live. When you die, you live also. They're just the way it is. Might be on a different plane, a different way, but you're going to do it, or even a different planet. Think about that. No, you see, you don't ever completely give out. What happens when you make your transition? Well, spirit is going to be spirit. Spirit never changes. Remember, spirit is eternal, never changes. Now, your individualization of that spirit is going to be doing something else. Now, I could go into about how many spirits there are and how we keep seeing them increase and where they're coming from. I will tell you this, that like the stars in the heavens, they're uncountable. There's more than you could possibly imagine. And they incarnate when they're needed to grow spiritually. And that's so. What happens on the transition? Well, it's like the physical body. It has to rest. So the Spirit says, hey, so it's time to rest a little bit. And to the body it says, hey, body, we're going to get you a new life in a different way or a different body. And let's do it this way or that way. Back again to where we left off there about your growth and your soul growth and your spiritual growth, your body growth. That's the whole purpose of life, is to grow and to change. Back to that building, when you tear it down, you rebuild a new one, or like an automobile. Someone once told me when I was doing a class I was telling about all these things you're learning here on these short little 5-minute talks. why I told them about, going forward. Everything is to move forward, and if you don't move forward, you're not progressing, obviously. One of the boys said, well, it's like a car. Sometimes you have to back up. Another one said, not me. If I have to back up, I'll sell the car and go on. Well, doggone it, I ran out of time. Well, let me give you the key to prayer, which is where I started. You see, prayer does change something. It changes you, and you make things happen. Wait till you hear about what we got to say next week. God bless you all, and thanks for letting me share a little of the little that I know.